Hey there, Blazer fans, and welcome to episode 51 of The Dragon's Den, a podcast for those that bleed green and gold. In this episode, I chat with Janice Ward, mother of the late Torrey Ward, a men's basketball guard for UAB from 1996 to 2000. Janice and I have a lot to discuss, so let's jump right in. Thanks for listening. All right, Blazer fans, I've got my guest here for episode 51 of The Dragon's Den, the mother of the late Torrey Ward, a former UAB men's basketball guard from 1996 to 2000. Janice, how are you doing today?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm good.
Um, I'm thrilled to have you on. It's I got to meet you a little bit in person at a basketball game. I talked to you about your organization, and I obviously knew the story of Torrey, and the Blazer faithful know him very well. So I can't wait to hear some of your stories.
Well, I'm looking forward to it as well. Thank you for asking me or, giving me the opportunity to be your guest. Love Blazer basketball, so that's how we saw each other, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So, first question, Blazer Nation got to know Torrey first in his time at UAB, but
Mhm.
my listeners might not know much more about his life before he was a Blazer. So, I know he's from Birmingham. He went to Phillips High School, but what was Torrey like as a kid and a teenager?
Yeah, so Tori definitely he grew up on the south side really, so just a few blocks from UAB, which made it easier. And I started school, I was in school as a matter of fact, some of the time, so it was just like being in the neighborhood. Now, speaking of being in the neighborhood, Tori knew everybody in the neighborhood. So it seems like even as a little kid and as a teenager, just being friendly, making friends with people, just came real naturally. So he was you could say he was rambunctious. Sometimes he'd get into little talks, stuff that mom had to talk to him about. Always into sports. Tori started playing some kind of sport when he was, like 6 or 7 or 8 years old. So that continued until he got in high school and then in college. And one of the things a lot of people don't know about him as a teenager is, or really before he was a teenager, is that he played soccer. He was on a competitive, award-winning soccer team. So Tori always had a lot of friends, really funny, always loved something with sports, tried out every, different kind of sport until he landed on basketball. And so he was easygoing, made friends with everybody in the neighborhood. So he was just a pretty good kid, for the most part, a really good kid.
Well, so you mentioned it, but you got your bachelor's degree from UAB in 1989, and Torrey started at UAB in 1996. You kind of mentioned that he grew up in the neighborhood, but did the connection for the both of you start because you were around the area? Did it start for him? Like, did he want to go to UAB just because he was so close to campus, or kind of what was that process like? I guess.
Yeah. So when I was an undergrad, Tori was little. So Tori ended up on campus a lot with me. So he met a lot of my friends. I mean, he was just part of campus life. Wherever I went, he went. In the classrooms, he went with me. And so I was already watching and, going to basketball games. So Tori came along with me. So he already knew about UAB, knew about the team. And like I said, we were on the campus all the time. It was already starting to kind of be this extended family that we had. So it was, I think, kind of a natural fit for him. Not an obvious choice, but really a natural fit for him based on his history and my connection to the campus.
Okay. And were any other schools interested in him, and did he kind of give them any thought, or was he pretty much set on UAB from the start?
Well, he did. He got some other offers. I know one, I actually still have some of the little cards they would send the recruiting, the coaches would send when they were recruiting. And I know one of them I remember is Colorado State was one, and he was interested in that. That would have been his first time kind of being away from home. So he was intrigued with that, intrigued with the campus. And I want to say Middle Tennessee State may have been one. Late in the process, UT, Knoxville was one of the schools, but I try not to be the helicopter parent. I kind of gave him the tools to make his own decision. And in the end, I was, with my fingers crossed behind my back, I was extremely excited that he, decided to come to UAB, to my alma mater, here at home, so the whole family could see him play and things like that. And plus, I loved UAB already, so I was happy that he made that decision.
Nice. Well, so what was it like having him close to home and seeing him, don the green and gold and play for your alma mater?
If I had to put it in one word, I'd say special, extremely special having him here. And really our family just kind of molded around Torrey playing at UAB. It just became like a family thing where we made road trips together to watch him play. We always had some family in the house when he was playing, and we just really bonded around that. So it was just very special. Like I said, just very special. And that's something that I am eternally grateful for, that he was here and we got to see him up close and personal. We try not to miss any games. I don't think we did, home games, but it was a great experience. Like I said, something I'm extremely grateful for.
Okay. Well, when he started at UAB, it was the first year for head coach Murray Bartow, and he played for him in all 4 seasons. What was Torrey's relationship like with Coach Bartow, and what was your relationship like with him?
Well, kind of going back just a second to the previous question about, him coming here and how one of the reasons he chose
Mm-hmm.
to come here is, Coach Gene Bartow was the coach at the time that he was recruited,
Mm-hmm.
and Coach Murray was an assistant at the time. So Coach Gene Bartow was very persuasive. So he, really wanted Torrey to come here and play for him. And we were excited about that. Of course, we knew the history, and I mean, this is a legendary coach. So,
Mm-hmm.
obviously he wanted to come and play for him. But then fast forward, when Coach Bartow, stepped down and Coach Murray took over, like every family, you've got a freshman playing, and like every mom, you think, oh goodness, my son, he needs to start every game. He needs to be in every play. So, we had to, get the cobwebs kind of out on that and understand a little bit more how the process worked, and you had to grow into his role. He couldn't come in and take over for, people who had already earned their spot or whatever. He had to grow into it. So the relationship with Coach Murray, as a matter of fact, we're all super friends right now. And the entire Bartow family, I probably don't have to tell you this, but the Bartow family are like some of the most amazing people. And what you see with Coach Murray, you see it with his wife, Tammy, you see it in their kids. And you definitely saw it in his mom, Miss Ruth, and in Coach Bartow. So it just kind of passed on. And so we really feel like we are really, really a part of the family. I think they wanted to adopt Torrey, but I came along as the package, I believe. But he and Coach Murray were super close, especially starting in his sophomore year, junior and senior year. And to kind of put a bow on it of what the relationship was like is when Torrey was about to get married in, I think it was 2005, when he was about to get married, he wouldn't set a date until he knew what Coach Murray's schedule was. So it had to be on a date when Coach Murray wasn't on the road and that he would be able to be a part of the wedding. So that, tells you about the relationship, I think, quite a bit.
Absolutely. That's incredible. Well, I would say it worked out pretty well. Torrey came to UAB. He scored close to 800 points, 796, averaged 7 points a game. It had career best 25 against Memphis and 483 rebounds, 19th best rebounder in UAB history. So great career at UAB. And, we were eternally grateful. I was a little young to be, I might have been a couple of years older around that time that he came in. So I was born in 94. So
Okay.
but no, I know the Blazer faithful remember him very well, so we're very grateful for that. But were there any particular mentors or figures in his life that really shaped his basketball journey?
Oh, absolutely. So, like I mentioned before, Tori played soccer, for quite some time. Was actually on a team with AG Gaston Boys Club that's here in Birmingham. And then he got in middle school, and that's when, somebody first noticed him. The middle school coach, Kelvin Ramsey, who's retired now, he noticed him and put him on the team and started saying, okay. So it started there. And then when he got to high school, he played for Coach Alvin Moore at Phillips High School, which was downtown Birmingham. And Coach Curtis Oden is that kind of community coach that everybody knows, and those were really like the people who kind of set the foundation for him and got him started. down that journey, down that path of basketball. And then once he got to UAB, Coach Murray, of course, was growing him. Coach Kennedy was on the coaching staff during the time, so he got to play for Coach Kennedy and Kennedy as well. And then Coach Rara Scott was part of the team at some point. So really, all of these people were really important in kind of molding, him. I'm not sure who gave him the defensive skills that he says he had, but I guess being co-defensive player of the year with Kenyon Martin is, probably okay in Conference USA. But anyway, so all of those people really helped. And they all were important, in his life, not just for basketball, but also just, molding him as a young man as well, which was super important for me as his mother.
Okay. So, you mentioned he stayed close to home. He went to UAB, and that changed when he went over and played professional basketball in China. What was it like while he was overseas playing? And did you ever get a chance to see him play over there?
No, we never did we didn't make it over. He went over for like 2 seasons, but their seasons are so different. They're really kind of short. So it's not like the professional, at least then, they were not like the professional NBA here. So we never made that trip over. We talked, we figured out the time difference and things like that. We figured out what you could safely ship to China. There are all these restrictions of what could go and things like that. And, one of the things that I still laugh about sometimes is I had these notes because when he was in, places like, trying to think of one, but anyway, in certain places in China, places that were westernized, then people spoke English at the hotels and things like that. But when he would be in some of the different provinces or whatever, you didn't get anybody on the hotel call that spoke English. So I had to learn how to ask for his room number in Chinese. So working at UAB, it helped because I called up somebody over in the world languages department and said, hey, can you help me? And so I figured that out. But we had a lot of good stories. He brought some good gifts back and he journaled about the experience and things like that. But we never did get to see him play. But he did he did very well. Won the slam dunk competition one time when he was over there. So, that extended across the sea.
Very nice. So Torrey came back and coached at Jacksonville State, Ole Miss, and Illinois State. Did Torrey know he wanted to go right into coaching when his playing career was done?
He never did just come out and say it. He just kind of, as soon as he got back to Birmingham and I picked him up from the airport from that last trip, he was already talking about what he was going to do next and who he was going to talk to and things like that. And I think he had been thinking about it, whether he was locked in a lot at that point, I'm not sure. But he, of course, being around Coach Murray, knowing Coach Bartow, and, by that time, knowing some other coaches or whatever, in college basketball, I think he had some people he could kind of talk to. And one of his former teammates here at UAB, Will Bailey, I think he's at Loyola Chicago right now, Will really I think they connected around the coaching because Will had kind of started his career, his journey. So he kind of opened some doors for Torrey and kind of helped Torrey, he sort of paved the way for him. But I think he had been thinking about it, and I think it was something he really wanted to do. He had a young, daughter at the time, and he was just not fond of, going back overseas and leaving her because she was, so young.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, sadly, Torrey passed away when the plane he was flying in crashed on the way back from the NCAA Final Four in Indiana in 2015 with a small group of people traveling back from the game. When I started talking to you, you told me that it was so important to you that people don't forget Torrey. To help carry his legacy, you've been active in helping others in remembrance of him. And the first was creating the Team Torrey Ward initiative with the Shoes That Fit nonprofit organization. How did that get started, and what should my listeners know?
Okay, sure. Well, I appreciate you asking that because you're right. Any mom, and I'm not any different than any other parent, and really anyone. You want your loved one to be remembered. You want to keep their name out. You want people to know who they were and what they liked and what they were like. And from a selfish perspective, it helps you as well. So really, obviously with what had happened with Torrey, Torrey was living in Illinois at the time. working at Illinois State University. And, Torrey had always liked shoes. Every day he's ordering something from Nike. And when you're a coach, you get to work with the Nike reps and things like that. So you've got shoes everywhere. So I knew he had lots of shoes, but we were in the process of, trying to, get his house in order and everything. And the lady that was helping me, she said, well, I'm finding shoes everywhere. She said, well, I'm going to just put them all in one room and then we'll decide what to do with them. So we ended up with like one empty bedroom with shoes wall to wall, all kinds of shoes, sneakers, dress shoes, everything, golf, everything. And then I started thinking, well, what are we going to do with them all? So initially, the Illinois State basketball players came, and they got to choose shoes that they could wear of his. And so we did that, and I'm like, what are we going to do with all these shoes? I don't want to ship them all to Birmingham. So in that moment, I started looking for organizations that would take donations for shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of doing that, I came across Shoes That Fit, which is an organization out of Claremont, California. And what was intriguing about them is like, oh, wow, they give brand new shoes to kids. And they had a great story. I just felt like it connected with what we wanted to do. And initially, my plan was I'm going to work with all of these coaching friends and colleagues that Torrey has, and they're going to help me get the shoes and find the kids and so forth. But as you know, the coaches, their schedules are so, they're weird. They have these small windows of time they can work on things like that. So it just morphed. A lot of them are involved, but the project itself just kind of morphed into something bigger where our family, our friends, and a lot of our Blazer fans over the years have been very instrumental in donating to the project. As a matter of fact, we've got a couple of former student athletes who make huge donations to our shoes project every year. So yeah, it just started from that. It was a good fit. It helps us to still tell people about Torrey, do something good, and just helped us through our, coping and grieving process to what do you do with all of this? And the shoes is just a real important part. And it's been tremendous. We still work a lot with Illinois State University, as a matter of fact, with the school there to make sure they get shoes. And it's been really good since 2018, and we're going to continue it and continue to try to grow the initiative for sure. And it's Team Torrey Ward.
Well, that's truly great. That was how I saw you. I saw the signage up about Torrey Ward, and I was like, I was intrigued immediately because I was like, I know his story, but I didn't really know much else about your initiative in the organization. And you and your daughter-in-law were super friendly, and I was so happy to talk to you and get to learn more about it. And I was definitely proud to have the opportunity to share this story. So I'll discuss a little bit more about that for my listeners at the end. Provide a link to it and everything. But one other way that you're helping out other individuals through Torrey is you helped create the Torrey Ward Legacy Endowed Scholarship to provide an annual award to deserving student athletes at UAB. What led you to get that started, and how is it going?
Well, it is going great. As a matter of fact, it took a while for us to get to the point. It started out as a fund. And then, of course, UAB's guidelines is it has to get to $25,000 at least at a minimum to be endowed and all that. So we were happy when that happened. And honestly, I can't take all the credit for starting it because, we're in the middle of, everything at that moment when, it first happened. But the credit really goes to the UAB National Alumni Society and UAB Athletics. They came together to put together the idea before they'd ever talk to me about it. And one of the reasons I understand is that people were asking, we've got some really good fans, and Torrey did know a lot of fans, and they were asking, what can we do? How can we help? And so that's really what kickstarted the fundraising for that. And then in December 2015, UAB hosted a memorial game in Torrey's honor. Yeah. And so percentage of the proceeds went to the scholarship. So that's really what kind of gave it its first legs, so to speak. I think we did a second game. Athletics did a second game. The next year, dedicated to Torrey, same thing. And we've done fundraising, really since 2015. So we have awarded at least, I think we're at maybe 5 scholarships now across the sports. I think our 2024 recipient is one of our baseball players, I believe. I can't remember his name right now, but I think he's one of our baseball players. So we look for somebody who we ask, the committee to look for somebody who embodies, Torrey's spirit, his, love for UAB, love for the sport, being a team player and things like that. So I've enjoyed, getting to get introduced to the scholarship winners, but that's something we're going to continue on and just want to keep growing it so that we can give more money in the scholarship is what we'd like to do.
That's fantastic. One other way that Torrey's legacy is carried on is through his family, and that includes your daughter-in-law Charmaine and his kids Tamia and Torrey Jr. What has it been like seeing Tamia and Torrey grow up and carry on his legacy?
Well, first of all, they are absolutely amazing kids. They, and I know so many kids, face what they faced, every day. We just don't know about it. But from me as their grandmother, they are amazing kids. They are resilient, and I see different aspects of him in both of them. And you got a chance to meet Torrey Jr. He's actually Torrey Nicholas. And so you got a chance to meet him, and he has so much of his personality. He is his dad's personality. He loves sports. He's a great athlete. Like his daddy, he actually played 2 sports in high school. And so, he did football, wide receivers football, and then he played, basketball, varsity basketball. He's been varsity, I think, since he was a freshman. But it's been, it's bittersweet when we celebrate the wins, because obviously his son is about to graduate high school. So we're going through another milestone. Torrey's not here. And it's bittersweet when we have the wins, but we have been trying to figure out basically still how to navigate it, how to celebrate the wins, because we still miss Torrey every day. He was so important to them. And I don't know if you knew this part of Torrey's story, our story or not, is that when Torrey passed away, his fiance at the time, when he passed away, she had a baby, our little granddaughter, his baby girl came just a few weeks after he passed away. So the little Spitfire named Audrey is down in Tampa, and she is that. And so we, she's part of the living legacy, as well. But Tamia and Torrey Nicholas, obviously they, were all together. But like I said, they are so resilient. They are amazing, kids. And I think they help with things that we're doing. They help to keep their dad's memory alive as well. So I'm, real pleased with that.
Well, that's awesome. And thank you for mentioning the other family members and stuff. That's great. It's great to see his legacy being carried on through so many great people. And I know that you are all extremely proud of everything that has come from Torrey, and obviously his legacy carries on its own anyway. He was such a great man. And I know that many of the Blazer faithful obviously remember him very well and remember him fondly. So this was one question that was really burning for me, but what message or lesson do you hope people will remember about your son's life and legacy?
Well, when he was, earlier you asked, what he's like as a teenager. So he really started then being spontaneous, and, he didn't always want to like plan for things. It was like, oh, well, I want to do X, let's just go do it. But, at the end of the day, and maybe that's a terrible term, but one of the things that I think I admire most about Torrey is the fact that even when I was jumping up and down and stomping and saying, no, you shouldn't go into coaching without a salary, or something, he had this thing of being spontaneous. And if he wanted to go after something, he just would, he wouldn't stop and do all the analysis and wait like I do still. And so that's something I really admire about him. And I think it's a great lesson for other people, because he had a saying, it was like, he said, well, Mom, he said, in this coaching business in particular, he said, you have to get it while you can. You can't wait. You know how people get so upset when coaches leave one job and
Mhm.
go to another. It's a great opportunity. And he'd always felt that way. Another thing I think that's why he meshed really well with Coach Murray and Coach Gene Bartow is that he's very loyal to his friends. And I think those are lessons he got from Coach Murray and lessons he got from Coach Gene Bartow is that you need to be loyal to the people, that are around you and to your friends. And he really, really was. Even until this day, I end up somewhere or his kids, especially his son being in basketball in the Birmingham area, we end up somewhere where we meet somebody that we didn't know before, and they tell us about, how Torrey had helped them or encouraged them or something like that. Like my daughter-in-law had somebody to reach out to her on Facebook, and they were like, "Oh my God, can't believe this is Torrey Ward's son. I want to come and see him play." And they came down to the Legacy Arena to watch him play in the championship game in 2024, for high school. So, encouraging people, he was really, really good at that. And like I said, I still get feedback from former players. He would take care of people. When I say take care of them, meaning making sure that you were good. Like the managers that worked with them in Illinois State, those guys still, they email me. One of them drove all the way from Texas here in time to see little Torrey's football game. That's how
Wow.
much Torrey meant to them. That's how much they mean to us. And honestly, these friends, his former teammates, that's the legacy for me because these are the ones who they keep in touch with his children. They see how they're doing. They check to see if we need anything. They call me. They, send things for Mother's Day, my birthday, things like that. So they help us carry on, his message. But Torrey was, like I said, really loyal to his friends. That was something that was really important to him. Family was number one, just number one. My entire family, cousins removed 3 times or whatever, everybody knew Torrey because Torrey was always around, the family. So family's super important to him. And on a different note, it just worked out that Illinois State came to play UAB on December 7th, 2014. And for the majority of our family, that was the last time that they got to be with Torrey. They all came to the game. We had big, huge dinner afterwards. He stayed behind when the team left, but it was important for him to be here with his family. And so that's, just really who he was. That was just really important to him. So I could talk about Torrey forever, or you probably figured that out by now.
Definitely. Well,
Yeah.
I have some questions about you too as well. I mean, I obviously want to get to know you a little bit too. So
I'm Tori's mother. That's all that matters.
well, I did want to ask, you part of the conversations we've had leading up until this recording. I know you're a big UAB fan. You're a season ticket holder for football and basketball, I believe you said. So,
Yes.
who have been some of your favorite UAB athletes over the years?
Yeah, I've got a whole list of those and I started thinking about it, a little bit. And it's really kind of hard because we've had, some really super athletes, come student athletes come through UAB and, I've gotten to know some of them, even before Torrey started playing here. But, obviously the OG of them all, Oliver Robinson, is one of mine. Who will ever forget Steve Mitchell? Definitely for sure. And I'm a little bit torn because Yaxel is everybody's favorite. I love to watch him play. And the reason I'm torn is because he has number 3. Now I'm afraid nobody's going to remember Torrey because they're going to remember Yaxel being number 3. And I'll tell you one guy that just left our team, he played last year. Eric Gaines was so much fun to watch. I just liked,
Yeah.
I know coaches like, yeah, sometimes he makes mistakes, but he was just like explosive and just a really dynamic player. Mo Finley is one of my favorites. He's a son of mine now, so I've adopted him. Joe Webb, football. Oh my God. I can't remember how many times I sat at Legion Field and said Hackney to White. So Roddy White, Daryl Hackney, just great, great combination. Great to watch them play. And Brian Thomas, I
Mhm.
think he was a linebacker, I believe, maybe. But anyway, he was defense, I'm pretty sure, but he
Mhm.
went on, to play for the Jets and all that. So Brian Thomas was, and he was here during that time that
Mhm.
Torrey was playing. So,
Yeah.
um, loved watching him play as well. But like I said, I got a list that could go forever, but those were some of my immediate favorites that I can think of.
Well, some definitely some greats for sure right there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I understand that you've been working with UAB for a very long time, and you've been around the campus. You've been, obviously Torrey's involvement and everything. What has UAB meant to you?
Oh my God. UAB is home. I mean, it just really is home right now. And even when I say home, it's home because of the people, and I've been fortunate. I feel extremely grateful that I've been able to experience the campus, experience the university from a lot of different vantage points, from a student to an instructor to a student athlete's mom, to a fan, and an employee. So I've seen it grow, and but it's the people that drives it, and it's the relationships that you've built here, so it's just a special place. I mean, it is a very special place to be a student, to be an alumni, to be an employee. It's a special place. When time comes to retire, I will still be boots on the ground because I'll still be teaching, hopefully, still be a fan, and will always be an alumni. So I have a connection to the campus for sure.
Okay.
It's a special place, very special place.
For sure, definitely. And I say that also as an employee, alum, and fan as well. So,
Yeah,
I have three more questions for you.
sure.
Just first, how is life for you and your family now?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, we are approaching, 10 years
Hmm.
since Tori left next month. And for me right now, some days it feels like a train is like getting loud and loud and loud and loud. And I've tried to, kind of tamp it down and not listen to it, but it'll be here, soon. And like I mentioned before, we're still trying to figure things, out as one of Tori's sayings. I'd get all worked up about something. He said, Mother, we'll figure it out, Janice. No, actually, we said, Janice, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So, we're still trying to do that. This time of year, which with March Madness is always, really, difficult for us. It's never, men's basketball, the basketball season, March Madness is never going to be the same again, but we're coping. We have found a way to be grateful, even in the middle of our grief and struggles with Tori not being here. We still have a lot to be grateful for because we've had some great people, in our lives. We do have some great people in our lives, and Tori left a lot of friends who are, help us kind of navigate through life, for the last 10 years. But yeah, like I said, we take the wins. But it's bittersweet. Right now is a difficult time. So we will be at Illinois State in April. They will do a remembrance, a 10-year remembrance.
Wow.
So all 7 men that were on the plane, they were all either worked with ISU or they were boosters. They were connected to ISU. So we've got another extended family up in Bloomington, Illinois with ISU. So we'll be up there for remembrance. Not sure what we'll do here, but we'll figure out something, with the family. But we're still, trying to figure it all out is what we're doing.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll go to one of my social media questions real quick from Brad Cummings on X, BC Southside RPT on X. He asked, "What is your favorite memory of Tori as a mom?" I know that's a very loaded question, but and he also asked, "And as a Blazer basketball mom, what was your favorite UAB moment?"
Mm, the favorite UAB moment, probably, and I've got a visual of it right now. There are two. So I'm gonna cheat. There are two. There's one where we played Louisville here. We had never beat Louisville before. We had a packed house at Bartow, just loud through the rafters. And Torrey somehow, I don't remember the exact play, but somehow he had one of those monster dunks that he would do sometimes. And the entire arena is like up and screaming and yelling. And that's one of my probably favorite moments. And so then there was another one. We were in St. Louis at the conference tournament. And I
Mhm.
think the player was Larry Hughes, I believe, that played for St. Louis.
Mhm.
But anyway, somehow Torrey ran the poor guy down and like blocked his shot or something. So that was one of the moments. Let's see, we had Torrey as his mom. Oh my God, that one is really, really hard because it's hard to just pick one. Torrey's just a very special young man. And so there was always something new with him. I think though, probably just some of the times that we kind of spent together, like in the car together, or something, traveling somewhere or whatever, and me just realizing, like, wait a minute, he's a grown up. He's making sense here. He's a grown up, and I'm seeing, one thing is, and this is a later memory. He was already coaching for ISU, I believe, and we were in Louisville, Kentucky, and Tori's like a 30 something year old, and I'm about to cry because he's about to catch a plane and go recruiting, and we're catching another plane to come back to Birmingham. And we were just so close, just very tight. But he had made an effort to stay behind a little bit so that he could celebrate my birthday
Mm.
and Louisville. So that's one of my moments. But yeah, I have lots and lots of moments. That's one for sure. And then I don't know if you knew this stat or not, and maybe is it Brad Cummings whose question it was?
Yep.
So one of the special set of moments, we were in Memphis in 1999. And I'm not completely sure, but I think it may be the last time, and I'm mad about Memphis right now too. So I'm with the rest of the Blazer fans, but we were in Memphis. I think it was the last time that we beat Memphis at Memphis. And Torrey had 25 points. He was the player of the game. And to make it even better, Coach Gene Bartow was the color play-by-play guy. So
Wow.
he's talking about Torrey, and he's, doing him. So that was a real special moment. And the entire family, we had done a road trip to Memphis. They were still playing in the pyramid at that time.
Mhm.
So yeah, but lot of good moments, lots and lots of good moments. Times when I had to tell my mom, okay, behave. They're talking about your grandchild, but just don't say anything to the fans. But yeah, we had a lot of great moments with Torrey.
I love it. I love the stories because I mean that gave definitely a great family perspective, especially the Memphis and the Louisville ones. Those are great memories right there. I love it. My last question I got for you: how can my listeners engage with you and your team within Shoes That Fit?
Right. Like I said before, we're Team Torrey Ward as part of shoesthatfit.org. So you'll have a link for, that you can share with your listeners. I'll get you that. We have a new one coming, as a matter of fact. But they can always, I'm happy to give you my email address, not my campus, my personal email address. And they can always just email me.
Well, Janice, thank you so much again for doing this. I really hope that my listeners will learn a lot about Torrey and get to learn more about him. As I said, we got to see him on the court and got to probably know him a little bit. Sometimes we might have, some of the older Blazer faithful might have rubbed elbows with him occasionally, but
Right.
just, to get to know more of his story and some of the great work that you and your family are doing, in remembrance of him, is very special. So I just wanted to thank you again for hopping on.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Like I said, we could talk about Tori forever. And I appreciate you so much. I'm glad you got to meet the Tori Jr. Running around in the arena with Tori's jersey on. So, and that was his mom's idea, my daughter-in-law's idea, by the way. And he went for it. So we're glad that you got the two of you connected. So I appreciate you and I appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you very much. Go Blazers.
Go Blazers all the time. We're gonna win tonight too.
I hope so. That's
Yes, 6 o'clock.
beat St. Joe's.
I know, right? Right.
Thank you again, Janice.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
All right. A big thank you again to Janice for her time and sharing Tori's story with us and letting us know more about how she's helping provide for others. If you want to learn more about Shoes That Fit, I will provide a link along with the episode in the social media post when this episode is released. Please give what you can and help support this great team and organization. And thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow my social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and X for episode announcements, as well as game day posts and news around UAB sports. That's going to do it for episode 51. Thanks again to my loyal listeners. Good night and go Blazers.